Hello, this is iSpec Lodge Studio. Nikolai Dubovsky, project leader, and Ivan Bunakov, the producer, will tell you about the game Pathologic. You will have to survive 12 days in a town infected by a mysterious disease in this game. The events happen in real time and your freedom is almost full. You can live these days as a hero or as a villain, save people or put them to death. In the end, you could find out the reason for this terrible disease's appearance. Now we'll tell you about the most valuable features of the game. First of all, I'd like to point out the non-linear way of passing the game. A lot of games declare their non-linearity, but in fact it isn't present in its fullest. We have achieved complete non-linearity. One could pass the game many times, and each time will be unique. The game has several finals. The primary target is to survive. However, there's a secondary target to save the town. The player can simply go through the game without thinking about the NPCs or the storyline, but he can also save the town, which is the hardest final to achieve. There are several intermediate finals. The choices that the player will face in the end depend on how much he managed to do during the game. Possible finals are influenced by the depth of the player's understanding of the game world and the puzzle. It is morning now in the town. This is the first day. The disease hasn't come to the town yet. There are no traces of it either. No marauders, no army. Life is quite peaceful. The citizens outside are few because it's early morning. Do you think you could find someone to trade with? You can speak to the citizens. They give you some general information. Some of them could barter items of great value for trinkets. Here's a drum card. Here's a valuable tourniquet, but we don't have anything he'd want. Now I'd like to point out the following. This game is based on a book written by the game developers. The game universe is made from scratch and isn't taken from any other book or film. The same goes for the unusual artistic style.
Она не взята с какой-то другой книги, с какого-то фильма. Она придумана целиком с нуля, так же, как и этот художественный стиль.
Now I'll tell you about the main characters who you can play for. Our game can be passed 3 times, and each time one can find out something new about the story. So, there are 3 games hidden within one. You can go through the game using 3 different characters, and each time you play, your gaming experience will be unique. They will talk in a different manner to each character each time. Each has his own scenario quests, dialogues and features. The first one is the Bachelor. He's a clever, imperious scientist. He'll reveal the story from the rational point of view. He also uses several optical devices which help him to find and study the disease. They're his special abilities. The second is the Haruspikus. He's a savage who can combine human organs, roots and herbs to make special mixtures. He's the only one that can invent a cure for the disease. The third character is the Devotress. She's the most horrifying of the 3. She can hypnotize and heal people by touch. She's pretending to be a saint, but in truth it isn't so. She's a character puzzle all on her own. This is the classical role triad, the strong, the clever, and the sly. Each will see the same things in his own way. Each of them has his own fighting style.
Итак,
Now we
мы продолжаем
continue.
свой рассказ.
We'll tell you what the player can actually do in the game and how one should play. Besides the huge town with its random situations, we also have indoor locations, which the NPCs live in. There are lots of NPCs. To be precise, there are 27. The player needs and should talk to the NPCs. Now we'll show you the dialogue gameplay. The choice of replies open to the player is dependent on the context. There are quite few dialogues and they refresh as time passes. The story of the game lies in the dialogues. Through talks, we get all sorts of quests, the storyline ones and the ones directed at the enrichment of the character.
Часть из которых сюжетные, а часть из которых направлена на личную экономику героя.
Now we'll show you some examples of our interiors. All these locations are unique. Each location has a set of unique items. There are several hundred of them modeled. The resources are generated randomly and refresh. This is the secret dissecting room. There are several tens of unique interiors in the game. Storyline NPCs live in such places, so do some typical citizens.
Таких эндоров у нас в игре десятки. В них живут и основные персонажи, и прохожие. Далее. Выходи на
Let's go
улицу.
outside.
Выйди на улицу.
Now we'll show you trade and the inventory, the basis of the character's survival.
Инвентарь. То есть то,
Let's go to the
что
shop.
составляет основу
We
выживания
have to
героя.
use console
Пойдем
commands
теперь
because
в
the town
магазин.
is very large.
Вот
So
мы
we're in
находимся
a
в
shop.
магазине.
It is a
В городе,
foodstuff shop.
естественно, есть магазины,
We can buy
в
provisions
которых
here.
можно покупать еду, предметы
Obviously, there are
питания,
shops and pharmacies in the town where one can buy food and items of great importance, such as medicine.
Дальше мы переходим к
Now we'll
такой
talk about
интересной
such an
вещи, как
interesting thing as the player's stats.
Давай, показывай.
They're simple and all of them reflect the physiology
Вот
of
у
the
нас есть
character.
базовый набор, у нас есть, как практически
Just as in most games we have hit points.
у нас
We also
есть,
have a very important
такие
instrument.
статы, как репутация,
Reputation,
у нас есть,
hunger,
голод,
exhaustion, infection
истощение,
level,
заражение
immunity.
и иммунность. За всеми
The
этими
player should
статами
watch his
нужно
stats carefully.
следить,
They're constantly moving towards the worse.
предметы
Items
в
have
игре
effect on the
влияют на
stats.
эти статы,
The
то
primary
есть
target,
основная задача у
survival,
нас
is
выжить,
achieved by
это
means of
достигается с
food,
помощью
medicine,
еды, лекарств,
ammunition,
оружия,
and special clothes
а также,
that
например,
make us less
одежды,
visible
которая
for
делает
aggressive
нас менее
citizens on the
заметными
street.
на улице, например, для патрульных.
Now we'll show you a
Дальше
quest which is an
мы
example of
покажем
obtaining
один
weaponry.
квест, который
By the way,
завязан
we're
на
in an
получение
infected
оружия.
district.
Вот тут,
As
кстати,
you can see, it's
попали в
grown
зараженный
dark.
квартал, видите, всё потемнело.
It is better
Лучше
not to
здесь
take our
подождать.
time strolling around here. There's a disinfector.
Вот мы видим санитара.
Now,
Теперь
Айрат, would you please load
загружает,
the shotgun quest?
квест про
It is one of
самопал.
the small random
Это один из
quests of
мелких
which there are
квестов
more than
игры, к
100
сожалению,
in the
естественно,
game.
мы не можем вам показать здесь.
There's an opportunity to get a shotgun. As a result, we should get a very powerful
Очень
weapon.
мощное оружие. Сейчас
Now
у нас
we only
есть
have an
нож,
old
можно
revolver
точно
that will
собой
break
добавить.
soon enough.
Этот мальчик
This
даст
boy
нам
will give us the coordinates and we'll go to his friend who'll lead us to the infected house, which is where the secret place with the weapon is. We'll use console command fly for the sake of speed.
Чтобы долго не ходить. И полетим к кладбищу. Вот, прилетели. Также здесь
We'll
мы
also see the
увидим
dangers that await our
опасности,
character
которые
in this
подстерегают
quest.
игрока в нашей
For
игре. Это
example, the
опасности,
aggressive robbers who
исходящие,
can kill
например,
us
от
very
грабителей, то
easily.
есть тех, кто игрока может убить достаточно легко.
Now, we ought to
Здесь
make a
нужно сделать
remark
ремарку.
here.
У нас
Our game is
не
not an
экшен
action
игра.
game. The
И
player should
действия,
abstain from any
связанные
action
с
that have anything to
драками
do
и
with fighting
убийствами,
and killing.
от этих действий следует воздерживаться,
The
потому
aggressors,
что
even the men
противники очень
citizens,
сильны.
are very strong.
И без God
Well,
мода
I
вот
don't
сейчас
even
мы
know
даже
if
не
we
знаем,
could survive this
сможем
fight
сейчас
without God
пережить
mode,
эту
because the
стычку или
robbers
нет,
throw
потому что
knives that
грабители
can
нас
kill
замедляют.
us at a distance.
Вот нас
Here
подстерегает
goes an
засада из
ambush of
3
3 robbers. If it weren't for the revolver, we'd have no chance at all.
Если бы не огнестрельное оружие, у нас не было бы вообще никаких шансов. Там еще
There's
третий
another
зуб.
one round the corner.
Вот видите, вы можете
As you can see, you can loot dead bodies. The player can kill and rob any citizens if you don't mind losing your reputation. NPC's sympathy and the general level of aggression depend on the reputation.
Прекрасно.
Now we'll go inside the house and show you what resource hunting is like in the game. Before going inside, the player should carefully survey his stats and take the necessary pills, because otherwise we'll get infected and die in a house like this. There is almost no salvation from the disease. As you can see, the immunity has gone up, but we've lost some hit points. Those are the consequences of taking tablets. We'll take enough tablets to lift the immunity to its maximum, but as you can see, even the character's portrait has changed. He isn't feeling too well. However, he won't get infected. With the help of a lockpick, we open the door. We'll turn the torch on. The probability of finding useful items in infected locations is much greater than in healthy ones. It is dangerous, but almost always there are valuable things in places like this. First, take the tablets in the cupboard over there. After that, go for the shotgun. All this stuff actually costs a fortune in the town, and one has to risk one's life to get it. Now let's go to the second floor and get our gun. Here it is. The quest is completed. Now we'll tell you about the numerous in-game cinematics. Ayrat, would you please load the Inquisitor's arrival, for example? She is the emergency commissar. This is one of the rendered cinematics. There are around 20 of them in the game. They play when necessary or important events happen in the game. For example, the coming of the Inquisitor or the army's arrival. Each final also has a cinematic. There is a theater in the town where every day is fitted out with a cinematic which finalizes the events that happened during the day. This is one of the channels of getting information for players that are interested in it. The Inquisitor is a brutal and dangerous character. Only the General is more terrible than her. To finalize our talk, we'll show you what goes on in the town in the very end of the game, after the arrival of the Sanitary Army. You see them now. The character is currently infected and the God mode is off because we want to show you how hard it is to survive. The disinfectors didn't manage to burn us, so we run away from them to the town. The army is out on the streets already and the soldiers shoot at any who are infected, so they start shooting at us. There is the appropriate final. Unfortunately, such a small trailer doesn't allow us to tell you about such a big game. We hope that our talk proved interesting, although fragmentary. Thank you.